We are going to write an acrostic poem today. Yesterday, you should have watched my video about, well, it wasn't my video, but you should have watched a video about what is an acrostic poem. And then you should have looked up some examples, seen one on there, some examples of acrostic poems. There was one about a sun, one about spring, and one about actually acrostic poem. Two of them were just words for each one, and the last one about acrostic poem, they actually had sentences. So we are going to write a poem today about your name on a piece of paper, or if you have a writer's notebook, you could do it in there. And then, this is my math notebook. I grabbed the wrong one. And then we're going to copy it into our published book. So in one day, you're going to write one and publish one. Don't worry, don't panic. This should be pretty simple. So you're going to, if you're using your writing notebook, find the next blank page. All right, so for an acrostic poem, it is a poem where you use letters going down one way. So I'm going to use my name, which is Kimberly, and I'm going to write one letter on each line. I'm actually going to do them all capital, I-M-B-E-R-L-Y. And then what I have to do is I'm going to think of words that describe Kimberly or that have something to do with Kimberly. It could be like hobbies that I have or things that I like. And I'm going to write words or sentences for each one of these letters. So for K, I could do, I'm going to write some ideas down here before I pick it. I could do kind. I could do knowledgeable. I could do, now like crazy actually begins with a C, but sometimes when people do acrostic poems, they spell things wrong on purpose just so they can have other word options. I really like kind because I feel like that's a good word to describe me. Kind. And now for I, let's see, I could do intelligent, which is kind of the same as knowledgeable. Interesting. Here's one that's kind of two words. I could do in charge because I am in charge of a whole class of 34 students. And I don't have to pick yet. I could just come up with my ideas and then write them in later. So let's move on to M. M could be mom. I'm a mom. Or I could put mother. Mischievous. That means like you get into trouble. That's not really me though. That doesn't really describe me. Many talents. So look, there's an interesting one where instead of using a word that described me that began with M, I used an adjective in there, or I'm sorry, an adverb in there to describe how many talents. How many talents do I have? I have a lot of talents, many. So that would work. I kind of like that one, many talents. I'm going to decide to do that. So let me pause it and finish it so that you can see what it would look like when I'm done. Okay, so I came up with the ones that I liked. I had other options, but I picked the ones I liked the best. So these are things that describe me, Kimberly. Kind, in charge, many talents, brave, entertaining, really organized, loving, and your favorite teacher, of course. So all those things have to describe yourself. So put your own name on a piece of paper and describe yourself. Then what you'll be doing next is getting your book that you already set up and adding it into there. Just kidding, I just remembered that I didn't have you set it up yet. So we're gonna set it up right now. So the front, everybody got a little book like this in their December kit. If you didn't get one or you lost it or whatever, all it is I got 5 pieces of paper, which doesn't have to be that many, folded them in half, and I did staple it, but you don't even have to do that. You can just leave them not stapled. So the very first page, we're going to have that be our table of contents. So I want you to pause this video after I write it and copy table of contents. Okay, so pause it and write that at the top of yours, table of contents. Okay, after you have that written, this is the first, well, we don't have to make it up the first page. We can turn it. So you're going to turn, and on the very back side, this is going to be page 1, and then the next one's going to be page 2, and just keep doing that. The back side of that is 3, next one is 4. Keep going till you get to the end. So pause it and do that. Okay, so I ended up with 19 pages. You might end up with something similar unless you had 4 pages in yours instead of 5. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our name poem on page 1. So we're going to write page 1, and then with a couple dots, name poem. So you can pause this video and write page 1, name poem. Go ahead. So after you have that written, then all you're going to do is on page 1, you're going to put on that name poem that you wrote, and you want it to look really nice. So you can do it in different colors. Be careful if you do markers, it's going to bleed through to the other page. So you might want to stick to crayons or colored pencils or pens, or even you can do just a pencil, but I think it would look nice to decorate it. So let me show you my example. So here's my finished product. I think it turned out pretty cool. I did kind of like a rainbow pattern. Notice with the yellow, I traced on top of the yellow with my pencil because yellow is just way too hard to see. So make sure you do that so people actually read your words. I gave it the title name poem. So now if somebody looks at my poem book, they'll know the very first page is my name poem, and boom. So we will keep adding poems to this throughout the week. You are welcome to decorate your front cover whenever you want. It does need to be decorated at some point, but you don't have to do that today if you don't want to. So go ahead and write your name acrostic poem, write it, put it in your poem book. These are going to be turned in for your last writing grade. Once we're done with your whole poem book, we'll turn these in for a writing grade. All right, get busy.